Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Joe, here with Gun and Armory, and today we're going to be doing a detailed teardown of my Tula Mosin. A couple of notes first and foremost. I apologize in advance if there are any flies that buzz in front of the camera. I cannot control how ruthless they could be during Oklahoma summers. The second thing I want to say is here in a couple of weeks I will be opening up the raffle for this brand new Henry U.S. Survival, new in box. So be sure to like and subscribe to this video and make sure you're notified when those raffle tickets go on sale. There will only be, I believe, 100 if you buy, I'll have all the details later, but there's like 100 to 120 tickets only. So first come, first serve. So a little bit about the Mosin. Obviously, it has stood the test of time. Originally designed in 1891, it's served in multiple world wars, and working on old firearms can be a very daunting task, primarily because if you happen to break something, it could be very hard to replace, if you can replace it at all, without having to machine new ones. That being said, the first time I completely tore this down, this one specifically, I was worried, and then I got to thinking, you know, this is a battle rifle. It's a bolt action, but it was designed to be used in battle, and therefore there needs to be a sense of simplicity that goes along with the build and design, because you're not going to want to be stranded on the battlefield with some super intricate way of creating this and then not be able to use it because something broke and you can't get replacements. So I think there are, if you include unscrewing the firing pin from the bolt and things that don't really matter, like the recoil lug and the 2 screws on the butt plate, there are a total of 10 screws holding this entire rifle together. So it's actually very, very simple to do a detailed teardown, and we're gonna get right into it. So first and foremost, before working on any firearm, you need to make sure the workspace is safe. So there is no live ammunition in the workspace. I'm gonna open up the bolt and visually and physically inspect both the chamber and the feed source, and we have a clear rifle. So the first thing you wanna do is remove the bolt from the Mosin. In this case, you're going to want to depress the trigger. That's going to disengage the sear from the bolt and allow it to move out of the back of the firearm. Now, with the bolt, I'm going to get a little bit closer so y'all can see. I'll grab my magnetic tray. So with the bolt, you want to use your thumb to hold the handle, and you want to turn the bolt 90 degrees towards you. So you'll have this top piece of metal on the side now. What that's going to do is it's going to unlock the bolt head and slide rail, and you can remove them. Simple as that. We'll set the body of the bolt aside for now. And this is just going to be in a track. So all you have to do is guide this little protrusion through the grooves in the bolt head, and you can separate those. Now for the bolt body, very, very simple. You're just going to unscrew, and it takes a little bit. You're going to unscrew the firing pin. The firing pin has a spring behind it, so it is spring loaded. It is not hard. It's not going to go flying across the room should you lose your grip on it. But you just want to unscrew this, and once it's unscrewed, you can remove it, and the body of the bolt will come apart as well into 2 parts. So there is the firing pin and the firing pin spring. You can take those apart, set them aside, and the back of the bolt comes apart automatically with nothing else done. So that is the bolt removal for the Mosin. And now we move on into next steps. So I like to start with the simple things first, and that's going to remove the barrel from the actual furniture, and that's also going to do a multitude of other things. It's going to allow me to work on removing some of the other screws, like the recoil lug and the screws on the butt plate, etc., without having to move around the barrel as much. So you have 2 screws for this step, one up top and one underneath. The first one is going to be right here. It is going to be just a flathead screwdriver. I use a large one on this, and the second one is going to be underneath in front of the box mag right there. If you take both of those out, the barrel will come out of the furniture. Very simple. So we're going to do that now. While I'm doing this, I will note that the front one is the smaller of the 2. So when you go to reassemble the rifle, just keep that in mind. So I'll flip the rifle over and hit this other one. You may want to hold the barrel and the furniture together while doing this one so the barrel doesn't swing out. So here we go. That is that, and we're going to bring the rifle back over just like so, and the barrel will come out just like that. Now, as I stated previously, the interrupter, the sear, and the trigger are all on the barrel, so we will get to that after the fact. Now, for the furniture, with the fixed box mag, now it has nothing holding it into place, so you simply just slide it out the bottom, just like so. There is, and I'm going to grab this. So on the bottom of the fixed box mag, you have this latch. And this latch, just open it up. To get this door off, you're just going to pinch the spring together. And what that does is if you look just like this, there's a little retainer right here. Let me set this down. Right here. And what that does is it stops this from coming off under normal circumstances around that bar right there. So if you pinch it together, you can see that retainer goes away and allows you to remove it. So you can leave it right here. There is, and I'm not going to pull this apart, there is a tensioner and screw right here, also flathead. Let me point it towards the light a little bit. So if you took that screw out, it is very small. It's only about maybe that big. But that removes that tensioner and allows this to move freely rather than being having pressure on it. The other portion for this, which we will do, is this screw up underneath the, actually above the trigger. So this screw right here, that is the latch screw. Now, I only recommend doing this because, once again, the screw is very, very small. I only recommend doing this if you have a magnetic tray or some other way to capture it, and only do it whenever you are doing a detailed clean of the firearm, as it's really pretty unnecessary to do it. Now, once that screw is taken off, you can remove the latch out from the bottom of that. So your box mag is now completely disassembled. I'm going to go ahead and put these in that bin right up there, and we can move on to the next step. So next step, I'm just going to remove the butt plate on this. The two screws are identical, so these don't really matter as far as which one you put where. They are the same size. And once you unscrew them, the butt plate comes right off. There is no difficulty to that step. So I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew those, take that off, and the butt plate just comes right off. The last thing with the firearm itself, with the furniture itself, is this retainer plug. So with this retainer lug right here, you got these slip ring pliers, and you hold them inside of the two holes, just like so, and turn. Oops. Well, don't mind that. So you turn it just like so. And the reason I use these is because they are, the actual bit that you need is called a 2H bit or a snake eyes bit. Now, finding one that's 3/8 wide is becoming increasingly difficult to do. So once you have that loosened, you can really just hand loosen it from here to get it off. I'm not going to take it all the way off because it is a little bit of a pain to get out. All you need is the all you need is a punch and hammer if you have an increasing amount of dirt and debris in the groove where it sits. I just tried to clean most of this last night, so it's a little bit easier. So that is just like that. And really that step is unnecessary when it comes to breaking this down completely, because it has nothing to do with the actual firearm itself as far as operational concerns. So I'm just going to slide I can't slide it right there right now because I have this lowered. So we're just going to set this furniture right there and move on to the barrel. Now, with the barrel, there are three screws. Well, 2 screws and a pin. So you have your sear retainer right here in front of the trigger, and all you need to do on that is be somewhat careful. So you're going to unscrew it, and when you take this screw out, it's going to loosen the sear, but it's not going to completely remove it because the sear is still held in place by the trigger pin. So once you have that, you can remove the, see it's loose right there, just like that. So I'm going to set this back up here, and I'm going to pull out the brass punches. And you don't even need the hammer for this. I just take the smallest one. It's a 1/8 inch. And you simply push right in here and get closer for you. So you push right in here, and that push pin, got to be gentle because it is loose. That push pin will come right out the other side, and that will set free the trigger and sear. Now, that trigger and sear is going to come apart very, very simple. There's nothing holding them together. The trigger just holds the sear in place with this pin. So we're going to put this pin and the trigger and sear in here, and then move on to the interrupter. So for the interrupter, you're going to want to use the smaller screwdriver. And this is 2 parts. So the first part is unscrewing. I actually think I need a smaller screwdriver than this. I do. Oh, 1 second. Where did I put that screwdriver? Oh, here we go. All right, so the other screwdriver I like to use is my Otis one because the actual blade is very, very skinny, but it's got some girth to it. So I'm going to unscrew this screw right here on the interrupter. It's right here on the back. This is the back of the barrel. So this is also a very small screw, so be careful when taking it off and putting it on, as it is very easy to cross thread and very easy to lose. So got that out just like that. It is tiny. I'm going to place it in a separate bin. And then to remove the interrupter, you can use either the brass punch and hammer, or you can use a flathead screwdriver. You can do it by hand. The interrupter is in two pieces. It's held together by a little notch right here. So you're going to want to pull the interrupter forward, and that is going to set the interior portion free, if I can get it. So it's going to set this interior portion free to where I can pull it out. Hold on, I actually got to set this down for it, but I'll bring it up close. So just like this. You pull the interrupter up, and the bottom portion will come out, and you can, there we go, just like that. So you have that. You're going to set it aside, and then you can move it the rest of the way out. Very easy by hand. It just slides right out with a little bit of pressure from the brass punch. And I will bring this up close. So when it's in the barrel, it sits just like so. And this little notch right here sits in that handle just like this. So you can push it forward a little bit initially, but then you have to lift this part up out of the interrupter, and then you can pull it. This one is completely free to go about its business and be removed. And then once this part's removed, then you can just apply a little bit of pressure and this will slide right out. That one screw is the only thing holding those two parts in. So at this point, you have completely disassembled this Mosin to the bare bones parts. And now you can put it back together, you can clean it, you can do whatever you need to do, but it's that simple. Like I said, there is, if you include all the stuff that doesn't really matter, the butt plate, the recoil lug, there are 10 screws that hold this whole weapon together. And I think it is fascinating how simple it is because of its designed use. This is definitely a weapon that was mass produced, but if something were to happen while you're fighting the fight, they are easily repairable with any other weapons that were any other Mosins that were lying around on the ground at that time. And trust me, if you know anything about history, there were a lot of them. The Russians like to do this thing where, hey, if you don't have a weapon right now, that's okay, because the person in front of you is going to die, and you could just pick up theirs. So that being said, that is how you completely disassemble the rifle. I won't really talk much while I reassemble it, except for basic parts. So to reassemble it, you're just going to do the opposite. So we're going to start out with the interrupter. Now, putting it back on, you will need the brass punch just to give it a couple of little love taps to get it back into that groove and aligned with the screw hole. Not really that difficult. There are no threads inside the actual interrupter itself, so you don't have to worry about damaging the threads. And you're just going to tap it until it is aligned with the screw hole, which is right there. Also, at this point, you don't risk losing either of the parts because they're both holding each other together. So just like that, and it's lined up. So now I can take that small screw and I can put it back into place like so. Now that that's in, we're going to put the trigger back into place. So we're going to stick the sear through the trigger, ensuring that the front of the trigger, that curved part, the sear is going in the front of it, just like so. Now they're not going to clip together in any way, they're just intertwined with each other. And then you set it right into that same groove, just like so, and line up the hole for the trigger with the trigger pin and insert it just like so. And you don't need the brass punch for that, just like that. So that is good. Now take the sear screw and put it back in where it goes, like so. And now you have all of these innards back together. So box mag, like so. All right. And just like so. Just like that. And now you can close that box spring and place the box spring back up into the furniture like so. And then take the barrel and guide the trigger back down through the trigger hole, just like so. And then you are going to hold it together while you put the screws back in place. Remember, the smaller of the two screws is going to be the front. And you're just going to put that in just like so. And then for the other part, you're going to take the longer of the two screws and slide it right back into here, like so. All right. Now you're going to put the buttstock through here and screw back in the screws using the same screwdriver. Just like so. And last but not least, we're going to put the bolt back together. So you're going to take the body of the bolt and you're going to put the rear of it back 90 degrees, and then take the spring, put it back on the firing pin and guide it through. You will have to put some pressure on the firing pin and kind of torque your wrist a little bit in order to get it started, just like so. And now you can screw it back into place until tightened. It only has to be hand tightened. It's not gonna bother it. All right, so almost there. All right, so we have it tightened, and now we can put the head back on the slide rail by following that groove and put it back on. Now here, you want to make sure that this notch goes in the top while the slide rail goes on this back notch. Super simple to do. So we're just going to do it real quick, just like that. And then as you did the first time, you're going to turn it 90 degrees back and your bolt is back together. Depress the trigger, slide the bolt back in, and your Mosin's reassembled. So with that being said, thank you for joining me for this video. I'm gonna go ahead and put her up now. And like I said, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And when raffle tickets go on sale for this Henry Survival Rifle, I will do a video specifically for it and show you the rifle, and you can buy your tickets then. Limited number of tickets, stay tuned. Thank you.